Hi, this is Nicole Rivera, and you're listening to the Stop Writing Alone podcast. This is the final week for the spring season of the Stop Writing Alone Happy Campers Club. So Wednesday was our final casual chat day, and we have two of those each Wednesday, one in the afternoon and one at night. And for this season, in the spring, I decided to come to the casual chat every single week with a big topic question. If anybody had something else that they really needed to discuss, of course, we would discuss it. And, I would try to check in on people's goals during that time. But also, I had a focus question each week just to sort of get everybody's feedback on certain things that were on my mind or had come up in the group earlier in the week or, whenever. But this week, since it was the end of Happy Campers, or it is going to be the end of Happy Campers for now until the fall season when we start again in October, I wanted to see what everybody had in their back pocket in terms of other writing communities that they participated in. This way they could share within the group, and people could have ideas of where they could go and the things that they could be taking part in between as we wait for the next round of Happy Campers or for me to show up for other types of meetings throughout. So the big question was basically, what are the spaces and places where you have found and enjoyed writing community and writer connection outside of the Stop Writing Alone community? Now, I'm definitely making a list of all of the wonderful places that were shared within the group, and I'll be posting that on the Stop Writing Alone network, and perhaps it will be up before this podcast is live, but definitely by the end of this week. But one of the topics that came up sort of as an offshoot, as things do on Wednesdays, was this whole idea of what can happen in some of these online writing communities that's a bit off-putting. And this usually comes from like when you get into a writing community on something like Facebook that just gets so immense that I personally think one of the things that starts happening is that maybe people forget about the humans behind each of the names that are there, and it just becomes less personal. But, another writer was saying, it could also be that they don't have enough admins. Whatever it is, I still believe that in the end, we are each individually responsible for the way that we show up in these spaces. And so I just wanted to go over some basic online writing community etiquette that I think everybody sort of knows, but just as a reminder, it's been a long haul of us all interacting mostly virtually, and it gets exhausting. So let's just remind ourselves about some of the things that we should be thinking about when engaging in a strictly online community, and maybe something that is only connecting through text, whether it be a forum or a social media space. So yeah. That's my topic for tonight, and I have a couple of things that I think are just bare minimum thoughts. And the first is kind of goes without saying because you agree to them, but if you have entered into an online writing community that has a set of rules that are explicitly stated, which we see very frequently in Facebook groups. I don't think pages, Facebook groups have them, and you usually have to agree to the rules before you can even become a member. So number one in our online writing community etiquette rules is follow the rules of the group. It's pretty simple, and this is unique from group to group. There are some groups that love, having all of their writers promote themselves as much as possible, and other groups that it's not that they don't love promotion, but they just are looking to make their group about a different focus, and maybe either say no self-promotion, or they have a specific day in which it should happen, or a specific post. Just pay attention to the rules. And I know that can get overwhelming when you're a member of multiple groups, but when you're about to post something, particularly if it is something along the lines of things that, if you feel like, here's the thing, if you feel like you have to write in your post, if this isn't allowed, just delete it or something. Save the admin some work and simply just go back to the tagged posts or the highlighted rules and just reread them before you do so, because they usually make the rules pretty easy to find. So yeah, follow the rules. And then my second tip for online writing community etiquette is, even if it isn't a rule, because a lot of groups do have this as a rule, be kind. Just be kind. If you feel like you're going to be not kind, or I don't know, I feel like there's something else you can do with your day rather than engage in the writing community. If someone is upsetting you so much in a writing community that you feel like you need to say something, I would say either do a private message or just walk away. You don't know this person, unless they're like really personally attacking you or your culture in a way that maybe you think you can take the opportunity to educate them. Even in that way, I would say be kind. There's no, I don't think people learn through attacks. So that is the second one. And that comes up because there's a lot of these very large groups where there is a huge diversity in experience. There are writers that are incredibly prolific and just have all this experience under their belt. They've been publishing for a really long time. They've done the self-publishing, traditional publishing, whatever it is. And then you see a post that you know is just written by someone that's just so fresh, so new. They really don't know a lot about the whole system. And they ask something, and rather than being kind to this person, you'll see comments that are just really just not kind. So yeah, and that upsets me. I think, as I was saying in the group tonight, I think part of my teacherness like gets triggered by that. I'm like, oh my gosh, they just had a question. Just be nice. Or if you can't be nice, just like don't engage with that post. Let somebody else answer their question, or let it go to the crickets and they won't get an answer. And then they will be forced to do what is my online writing community etiquette rule number 3. If you have a question, maybe think about researching or Googling your question before you go to the online community and see what can you discover on your own. And it's not, researching could be through all of these different craft books that we have. There are books and websites and information. There's information galore about pretty much every aspect of the writing life now. There used to be, you can find books on craft, but maybe you couldn't find books about marketing, or maybe you couldn't find books about, being the business of writing. There's everything out there now. So there's YouTubers that just spend their entire vlogging career, is that what we call it? Vlogging career, going through all this stuff. So before you just blast a question out to a large community, see what you can learn on your own. I love doing that kind of stuff anyway. Chances are that's what people will turn you to anyway. If you ask a question, they'll say, oh, check out this person. They have a lot of information on it. So maybe phrase your question in that way. Where can I look to learn about X, Y, and Z? Not, can you give me the answer? Because for complicated questions like how do I get my book published, and you're hoping for someone on Facebook to just come and explain it all to you in a comment, it's a bit much, right? So, yeah, that's my online writing community etiquette rule number 3. If you have a question that you think may have an answer out there for you, and you're already got your fingers on the keyboard, Like check into Google first before you go straight to your writing community. And this is really, I should really underscore this. This is what I'm talking about, these massive communities where you're blasting out questions kind of into a big room of humans, hoping that some stranger will come back and answer your question exactly the way you need it to be answered. If you're in a smaller community, ask whatever the heck you want. I still say be kind. Those still follow the rules. Still be kind. But when you know the people that you're engaging with, you ask whatever. But when you're in a room full of strangers, essentially, I would say think about the research and the Googling before you put those broad sort of questions out to the group. The rule number 4 that I have, the etiquette, I don't know, are they rules? What do I want to call them? Guidelines? What do we call it with etiquette? Is to know the difference between your writing community and your target audience. Now, this covers a big group of types of questions that I see in these larger communities. When writers come on and say, what should I write about? Or here are some ideas that I've been thinking about. Which one do you think I should do now? Or do you like, my protagonist is either going to be a supermodel or work in a grocery store. Which would you prefer? Now, these are interesting questions to ask a certain audience. But if you're asking a bunch of strangers and they're not your target audience, then who cares? I don't mean to say that in a rude way, but they're not the people you want to hear from. And I see a large number of questions coming into these large online communities that I feel are not questions for fellow writers. They're really questions that you need to be asking your target audience. And that's hard. If you don't have a platform built for your target audience, and what new writer does, how the heck do you get those answers? I mean, this is why we say, write the story you want to write what you enjoy, because in the beginning, you don't really have access all the time to your target audience. Now, there may be someone in your life that fits that bill, right? So let's say you're an older person and you want to write YA, and maybe there's someone in your family, either a child of your own or a niece or nephew, or someone you babysit that is in the YA category. And then there you go. You have somebody that you could ask a question specifically about which would you prefer, because now I'm asking a young adult about what they would prefer for the story that you are writing for young adults. Now, if you take that same question out to an online writing community that's immense, filled with writers that have wonderful experience in developing the craft and writing books and publishing and marketing and all of these things, but maybe write all different types of things, maybe don't read YA, what difference does it make what they would prefer if they're not the person that you are writing for? That is essentially what I'm saying, because I see these questions and it's like, they're opinion questions, right? Which would you prefer? So I have an opinion as soon as I read the post, and I kind of want to answer it. But then I'm like, I don't think this person wants my answer. Or maybe they do, but how do I know for sure? I feel like I'm just going to confuse things by giving an answer. So yeah, that is my really, really big one, because I feel like that's knowing that distinction and understanding that when we have writing partners, whatever community that we're in, they are writing partners and they can help us with lots of different aspects of our craft. But when we get to questions that are specifically about what would a reader appreciate from this story, the first question you have to ask is, am I asking the right person? Is this the person whose opinion I want right now? And this goes back to when I talk about finding the right critique partners and, making sure that they are tuned into your taste and what you're trying to do with your story. It's the same sort of idea, because people can give you feedback on a story that can be valuable, and they can give you feedback on a story that is, and this is no reflection on their writing skill or their ability to critique, but if it's not in tune with your audience and your intended story, then it's not valuable for that particular exchange. So yeah, I would say with the online writing community, just ask yourself, am I asking this question? Is the question I'm asking for a fellow writer, or is it an attempt to gain insight to my reader? And if it's that second one, you got to be honest with yourself and ask yourself, does my reader show up in this community? It could be that you're blasting out the question and really looking for this one person that always participates that would be your reader. And that's fine. I guess you could low-key do that, but, become friends with that person and just DM them. But in general, if the broader community is not your target audience, then that's not where you want to blast out that question. You could take that same question to a book club Facebook group, right, that reads all YA, and I'm just using YA as an example, but you could apply this to mystery or poetry or whatever it is we're writing. But you can find the group that is specifically full of readers of this thing and ask them that question, and then it's an appropriate huge question blast because that's your target audience. That's essentially what I'm saying. My final bit for our online writing community etiquette is kind of what I started out with. Please remember that every single person you engage with online in these communities is a person. I basically remember the humans behind the names. That's in essence how we should always be online, and it gets difficult sometimes, especially if it's not a community that has live events where you do get a chance to speak face to face or in real time. You can forget, and you can get lost in your own emotions about things and just start releasing stuff online, and there's another person there, and if they are writing things that are outlandish or triggering you in some way, maybe they're having a day, and rather than escalate it further, just give them their moment, walk away and say, there's a person behind that, and I don't know what they're going through because I don't know them that well. So just let that be. Let the admins handle it if they want to shut down a post or what have you. But I guess it all revolves around, in the end, kindness. Because there's too many times that I see people just being mean, and I don't like it. I haven't, thankfully, seen any of it in the Stop Writing Alone community, but we're so small over there that I haven't had to worry too much. But I do want to give one more bonus, which isn't really an etiquette thing. I guess it's a broader etiquette, like lifestyle etiquette. For those communities that do have promo days or promo moments or the promo posts and say, today's the day, you can promo whatever. I would say a bonus, really nice etiquette, or perhaps something where you can gain some karma chips, is not only to always think of promoting you and your own thing, but also promoting a friend, or even more so, an author who needs or deserves a larger platform than they currently have. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a writer buddy, someone that you know personally, but if there's a book that you read and loved, give them that space, give them that time. Maybe they're not in that community and you could say, look, this is what I have going on. And if you want to check out my book over here, this is great. But here's another book that I read that was also amazing. And I'd love to take a minute to share that with you as well. And anytime I see somebody promoting someone else's stuff, I just have all the warm and fuzzies for those people. Because why not? What does that do? What does that cost you? And imagine that just getting paid forward over and over and over again. So to me, that's the entire definition of community, is to drop the competition and really just help each other out in every single way. And promo days are one of the best days you can do that, right? So yeah, that's the online writing community etiquette that I sort of rattled off in my mind after the conversations that we had today. I'm sure I could make an even longer list. What would be on your list? What are some rules that you would love to see, or just different sort of manners you wish people would bring to an online writing community that maybe have been missed right now? And what are the spaces that you are participating in that are filling up your cup and really helping you to enjoy writing community at this time, or even in the past, if there was something that was really great for you? I would love to hear all of it. That's what I'm all about. I'm always about stop writing alone. And I don't just mean in my spaces. I want to know how people are doing it and what they're finding, because there's so many fantastic things going on out there. It just keeps growing every year. And this is a great opportunity to share with one another the places that are inspiring and really helping writers grow. With that in mind, I will just say, because I know May is coming, this is because Happy Campers is ending. One big thing that always comes to mind for me in May is Story a Day May. So if you go to storyaday, I believe it's .com, by Julie Duffy, she will be giving out prompts every single day in May, encouraging the community to write a story every single day. So if you have been doing your 52 stories in 52 weeks and feel so fired up that you say, I need more. What is this weekly nonsense? I want to write a story every day. Then I would head on over there, because there's all different levels in which you can participate in that community and in that challenge that is before you. And of course, like all these challenges, right, you can just sort of follow along, gather up the prompts, and use them throughout the year if you want. It's just a great place for inspiration. So I'm sure there's more. And like I said, I'm gathering the list of all of the recommendations from the Happy Campers from this Wednesday, and I will be posting that over on the Stop Writing Alone Network. So if you're not in the Stop Writing Alone Network, it's free to come and join. All I've been doing is just shifting the online communication and community of Stop Writing Alone from the social media spaces of Facebook and Instagram to the Mighty Networks space, which is the Stop Writing Alone Network, simply to free you of algorithms, free you of distractions, and just have a space that is dedicated solely to us talking about what we're doing in writing community. So just hop into the show notes and you'll see the link, and it'll take you straight to, I think you just have to add your name and email address to come on in, and you join the Stop Writing Alone Network and join the conversation. Otherwise, there will be a couple more changes coming up. If you are on the email list, I'm probably going to be changing providers soon. That doesn't affect you in any way, but it makes my life a lot easier. So that you can check your inbox for that email coming soon. And there will be new stuff coming from Stop Writing Alone throughout the next couple of months. More opportunities to participate on one-off meetings rather than multi-month commitments like the Happy Campers Club. So stay tuned and I will keep you updated as we move forth. But in the meantime, be kind to one another as you go out there and find your community. And as always, happy writing and thank you for listening.